Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Jerry from Bigelow Woodcraft, and I'm in front of the Frontier OS27 Sawmill. And today I'm here to bring you my 2-year review of this, what my thoughts on it. I made a 1-year review of it, and it was well received, but things have changed over the year. And we'll discuss some of the things that, what I like and don't like about the mill. I bought this. I ordered it in September, middle of September, beginning of September, and got it the very beginning of October of 2020. 4 or 5 weeks, I think, is all it took. I don't know exactly how long, but it was pretty quick. I dealt with Andrew, never had a problem with any customer service. That was right in the middle of all that craziness that was going on in the world in 2020. So he was great to work with. They got it to me quickly. Maybe it was just a timing thing with me. They happened to have everything. When I got the mill, I got all my parts. I wasn't missing anything. Had all the nuts and bolts and everything. I don't think I'm missing anything. Frontier is a line of Norwood. The OS, I believe, stands for off seas or offshore. And the 27 is what they claim you can mill. 27-inch diameter. We'll talk about that. 27-inch diameter log. But I believe all the steels and pieces came from China. Not 100% sure. And then assembled, the parts that are assembled, that they assemble in Norwood, and then you finish it up. But I've had no problems with the quality of steel. We'll talk about the powder coating here in a little bit. I know many of you have had issues with Norwood, they claim. I read all the forums. I don't participate in them, but I read, and I also get some ideas from you guys on problems you're having, mods you've made, and things like that. So I do keep tabs on all that. I understand now Norwood has really done a good job with maybe getting more staff, but people are getting their mills quicker now. They're getting questions answered. I see Kelly from Norwood all the time on those forums answering guys' questions and getting with them. So it appears like if you can't get a hold of Norwood by phone call or email, probably reach out to them on those forums, because I see Kelly always responding to people's concerns. It looks like she's doing a great job over there. So what do I have in it? I bought this with my own money. Nobody has sponsored me. Nobody's told me what to say on this mill. Everything I'm going to tell you is from me. I have no affiliation with Norwood or Frontier. If they want to find me, so be it. Maybe we can work something out, but I have no affiliation with them. I like the mill. There's things I'd like to see different. So let's start off with the trailer package. This trailer bed that you get from Frontier, it's not welded together. And what I mean is they have jam bolts. They have these sleeves, and I think you can see it. I just looked. They have these sleeves here, and I'll show you a close up here, with these jam bolts that go in on 45s that jam these pieces of rail together. 4 jam bolts right there. And that's to put it together and then get everything where you need it, and then you run these other big bolts to hold everything down. It's adequate. It's not the stiffest of designs though. So, if you welded it, it'd probably really help out. You get the trailer package, you get these 12-inch wheels and axle, and they roll well, no problems at all. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to put like RV covers over those, just so the UV light doesn't hit them. Maybe they sell them. It might be a thing they should sell. They can put their Frontier branding on it or something. Just some vinyl covers that you Velcro up and around them. But the trailer's adequate. You get the trailer, you're going to get 6 trailer jacks, 3 on each side, if you don't get the extension package, and that's used to level up and down. And those are just standard trailer jacks. You can replace them. You can get them anywhere. Any of your farm and home and garden stores, or eBay or Amazon, or any of those places. Harbor Freight would probably have them too. You get the trailer package and you get the light brackets. Now I took the other one off and I have this one on here only because I use it as part of my system for the power feed. Now this power feed, Norwood doesn't offer this, or Frontier doesn't offer a power feed on their mill. I designed and built this power feed, so keep that in mind. You're not, if you get a Frontier, you're not going to have a power feed on it. The mill, without the extensions, can cut almost 11 feet. I think it's like 10 feet, 10 feet, 8 inches, something along the lines of that. I didn't buy the extensions when I first bought it. I wish I would have, but I didn't. They weren't really that expensive to buy at the time, and they could have been all shipped together. When I started looking into them, the shipping was astronomical for just one section. So I built them. And it's about the same. I ended up maybe the same, maybe a little bit cheaper. I think I got 500 bucks into everything for my extensions. Now, let's talk about these log bunks. I do like the log bunks. They give you a nice working surface. You have, I believe it's 3 inches. Yep, you have 3 inches of flat across the top. That gives you adequate room to put your shims underneath. Now, I've seen some of the mills, just a single plate coming up. If you don't have toe boards, it's going to be hard to shim underneath it. So I do like that feature. They're 3 by 6. The bunks are adequate. Now, they are, I'm going to tell you right now, they're 39 inches apart. It is nice. It would be nice to have more log bunks. Because what happens when you put your log on here, and if it's spanning 2 of them, this will start bending down. Your wood will just flex down. And at the end, I'll end up with a board that's 3/16 of an inch thicker on this end than it is on this end, just because it flexes down a bit. So I solved that. I built 4 more bunks, and 2 of them I have loose. So I move these 2 around where I need them. I like to slide these around. If I can put that underneath, you know, wherever it needs to be, and that negates all that flexing. That really helps out. These log stops, I'm going to say adequate at best. These log stop brackets, these log stop brackets are designed with threads threaded through this plate on this tube steel. This is only an 1/8 inch thick. You get maybe 1 thread in there, so it takes nothing to strip those out. So I backed them all up with nuts on the backside, and you can jam them up tight, but these are still going to move with a heavy log. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, they're threaded, and then there's a nut I put on. Oh, I can't get down there, each one of those, but you can see what I did. Those consistently move on me from these log stops. These log stop brackets do. And you know, you can imagine you're up here 12 inches, 14 inches, whatever that may be. You got a heavy log on it, pushing it that way, or you bump it, it's going to slide. So one of my thoughts would be, once I bring this in for the winter, which I'm going to do here in a few weeks, I'm going to maybe tack these. The problem with tacking them though, you have a little adjustment side to side, and I'll just have to be aware that these all have to be on the line. They can't be going down this way. These log stop posts. Let me show you what one looks like when it comes from the factory. This is your standard log stop that you get from Frontier. Now, it doesn't have the paint on it. My paint's wearing off. I marked it 4, 6, 8, 10. You put those in, they work good. They're only held here with this thumb screw. And what will happen is when you put your log on here, you tighten that up. I don't care how strong you are. You tighten that up, and that you're rolling that log, and it hits on top of this, whether it's turned around the other way or not. It'll still hit on top of this, catch the bark, and this happens. It pushes down. And then you got to move the log. It's just a pain. So what I did, guys, and then this happens. This is an easy thing to do. I put these detents in here. So all I did is I ran this down to the height I wanted. I put a center punch, swapped the center punch out for the thumb screw, tapped it. So I had these nice spots here. Then I just came in with an angle grinder and hit them with an angle grinder right across there. I didn't go all the way through, just enough to hold this thumb screw down. There it is. Oh, find one right there. There. Look, it's loose. I just snug it up, and it's sitting in that log or that detent, and it won't get pushed down when you roll your log back up on it. I took these log stops and I put these bearings in. Now, this wasn't 100% my idea. I saw somebody else do this, and I thought it was a dang good idea. I don't know who did it. I think somebody maybe sent me a photo, and this is the best setup I've seen. So what I have is I have these bearings, which are the same diameter as the thickness of that log stop, and I believe it was 1.5 inches. Or what are they? Yeah, they're 1.5 inches. And these bearings are 1.5 inch bearings. And I run this 1/2 inch bolt through there, and that's how I made them. And so now what happens when the log hits on top of this, they always roll. And I'm never going back to just like that. You will hit your log stop. I've hit 2 logs. I've hit it twice now. This is safety yellow, and I know the yellow paint. It's pretty close to Magnolia Gold, Rust-Oleum 2X, and Magnolia Gold, I believe, is the name of the paint. I'll show a picture of it, the paint can right here. That's how I'll hit these up in the spring. But, you know, it says in their literature that it is powder coated. And it could be powder coated, but this is what's happening on mine. I don't know if you see that or not. It's flaking off inside. Yeah, I'm going to pull this whole piece off. So it's not protecting. You know, and if it's powder coated, yeah, this is going to be a big chunk. Look at that, guys. That's piss poor. That's uncalled for. I was in the metal world for a long time as an engineer, back in the machinists and tool makers back in the day. And this is a lack of surface prep, most likely. That's what you know, maybe some of you know, I've never actually done powder coating, but I'm guessing there was still oil on these and they just didn't clean them. You know, some places are holding up good, but the insides didn't hold up well. And where they flake, guys, is around the holes. Each hole probably had lubricant on it, right, when they drilled it? Because I use lubricant when I use a drill most of the time, if I'm cutting or drilling steel. And I'm guessing they didn't wipe it off clean, because that's where all the powder coating's coming off, is right around those holes. So they have all their bunks are drilled for these log stop brackets. Address these log stops, brackets, in the bunks, the quality of the paint, and the powder coat is really going to help. Let's go on to the rails. These rails, I'm impressed with the rails. They're 4 inches by 3 inches. It's 4x3 channel iron. That's real, or angle iron. That's really all it is, and it's 1/4 inch thick. This has a galvanizing, I believe, on it, because it's not rusting. And I guess maybe, I'm guessing these are machined as well, because when I built mine, I found some 4x3 1/4, and I had to have one of my friends who's got a CNC mill them down to height. So, but the log rails are great, but look at, they have this yellow rail on the side. It might be a stiffening rail. That's kind of what I originally thought, but then I realized no, it's also for the carriage. And the carriage has straps that lock up and over this thing for transport mode. Here's one of those straps that I was talking about. So this is an inch, probably close to an inch until you hit this rail, and then this would go up, lock in, and then you nut and bolt it to the bottom of your carriage, and that would lock the carriage in. So when I transport it, I do pull that carriage back over the axles. Didn't come with this extension. I built this extension. So when I built this extension, I needed more log clamps. So I did order log clamps and one extra log stop, and I put it on this bunk down here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 log stops now. I only use usually 2 at a time, but now I have one all the way down here. I can mill 19 feet, almost 19 feet. It before was almost 11, and I added 8 feet to it. So now it's almost 19. Also, I bought those jacks right there, which are very similar to those jacks, and built a very similar system that they have there. Works real nice. So I bought another log clamp, 2 of them, and so it comes with this bar, this unit, and this unit that goes on the bar, and I also got this log dog or log clamp for holding the short boards, or right down at the very end. It's just a little cam locking system. The problem with the one I bought, as opposed to the one that came with it, the one I bought, in fact, I'm going to show you this. This square tubing right here. This is not the square tubing I have down there. This is very thin. Let me see how thick that is. Just a little more than a 1/16, right? Or it might be just a 1/16 thick. Guys, check this one out. Let me pull this guy out. Look at that, guys. That's an 1/8 inch thick. So this side, this one, I really like this. This tube hasn't changed. They didn't change the tube. The thickness and everything on this part is the same. And it just slides in there, and you put it where you want, and it jams itself on a slight angle. I mean, slight. This one, look how far over that bends over. That's how far. So I need that much thread 9 times out of 10. You know, I'm always messing with this thing. They built that one, and it's already good enough. It's a cheap enough mill. They shouldn't have had to do that to save what? $4? Now, maybe they couldn't get that pipe, that tube steel, when they built mine, but that's ridiculous. I'm not happy with that. However, I am real happy with these log clamps right here. This handle. So this says 20. So when this handle, you got it jammed into a log, this handle could be out here. It hits the carriage. So creative clamping, anything bigger than 24, 25, you're doing some creative clamping usually. That's the first item that I'm pretty second item I'm pretty ticked off about. That log dog clamp, and the other one is just a powder coating. Come on, guys. I know their name's on it. That should be addressed. And they addressed it with a bunk cap, so that's fine. If that keeps the moisture out, well, where do you put these though? I like to throw them right inside there. If you got those log caps, if you have log caps covering these, where are you going to put them? Let's look underneath inside the cabinet here. The cabinet's made of metal. So let's open this up. They have these cam over center hinges. So you just lift it up and it holds. Pretty nice. All right, my mill has sealed bearings. There's no seal, it's a sealed bearing in there. I've not had to replace these bearings yet. And I just saw in one of the forums, Somebody asked what bearings inside the clutch, and that I don't know either, guys. In fact, the guy told him to reach out to me. I never got an email from him. I don't know what bearings in that. Well, someday I'll find out, because I'm sure I'll have to replace it or put a new clutch on it. The beauty of this mill, everything, get that back on, guys. There it goes. Everything on here, you can pretty much source out, whether it's at your automotive shop for bearings. The bearings are very accessible. Or belts from your automotive shops. You know, parts and pieces, these limit switches are easily sourced out. My limit switches have failed, guys. These don't work. These switches are wired up so they're normally closed. And when you open it, it opens. It might be the other way. I never open these up. But anyhow, mine are broken. So it stays running. I'm aware of it. It's my mill. If I sold this mill, I would replace those. So the next person, you know, you don't know who's going to be running it. But don't open this if these have failed with this running. Okay, guys, just don't do that. If these are working, it shuts them off. I know these are cheap because I use these for my limit switches down here on my power feed, and I have had one of those failed. But both of these are broken. I should take a look and see how they are wired. They're probably normally open, and then when you when you open it, it goes to closed, and then it grounds out the spark plug. So they're probably normally open. It'd be easy to tell just by looking in there. This blade guide, these are ceramic in here. They're not wheels. They're gonna be hard to show you that, but just know they're ceramic. I've not replaced them yet. I don't know where you'd outsource the ceramic. It'd be interesting to make a new bracket and put a wheel on it. And you know, like Cook sells the wheels that you can run on these instead of these blade guides, blade guide wheels. And it'd be interesting to see. And I don't know, maybe Frontier. I know Norwood, some of the Norwood mills do have the wheels on them, roller guides. The water is just a copper tube pinched with a little nut, or I guess it's a bolt, little bolt back here. Just pinches it. I'm not sure the clutch. Now the belts, very easy to get. The idler belt is a B56. And it is supposed to be this loose, guys. The bandsaw blade holds it tight. If it wasn't loose, you wouldn't be able to get it on. This is the original. I'm feeling a pretty good groove in it, but it's still, there's no fraying on it. I've not replaced that. B56. Now, the belts I've been buying have been Gates. B56 and a B84 for the drive belt. But last time I ordered a drive belt, from the supplier, they sent me a Napa B84. I don't have any problems. Now, I do see on some of your forums, on the forums there, some guys have a hard time keeping their blades on. You know, that's an adjustment issue for tracking, I believe. I don't know if I've ever thrown one blade once when I first got it, and I was in a log pushing probably too hard. It seems to me I threw a blade. I've broken blades, and you've seen that. So that's always interesting when that happens. But these are the belts. You know, there's obviously liability issues with sawmills, and nowadays, you know, there's warning stickers on everything. But when you get this dust chute, it's going to have a bunch of bars across that. And those bars are there for one reason and one reason only. It's to keep this blade, in my opinion, from shooting out. Will it shoot out? It sure in the heck can, guys. I broke blades where they shot out a couple inches out of that because I cut those bars out, and I had a video of it shooting out 3 feet, almost 4 feet out. If someone was standing out there, guys, it could have tore them up. So now, since I cut those out, which I am not, and I never have recommended, I've suggested to guys, you know, take a look at them, but don't cut them out on my behalf. I wish I would have left one in there. Just one in the middle, because that would keep that blade from flying out. They had one, two, three, four. They had 4 of them in there. I would have just kept that one in the middle. So what I did is I put a 90 on it, and I just directed it straight down, and I painted it. I just put orange duct tape on it. I can see it. It's always in my eyes. Okay, a couple of things now. When you buy your mill, the reason I don't have this on here right now is when it's out here, it's often in my way. I hit myself in the head with it, so on and so forth. But it's just to protect you. And I'll show you here how it looks. This slides in and out with the blade guide, and it just shields you from that blade. If you're going to keep this on, which I do recommend, I mean, it's 50-50 if I have it on or not. Sometimes I take it off, especially on the wide logs. I'd like to have it off because I don't have a lot of room in here. That was my own fault. You can see I can barely get through here. But if you do, get yourself a bag of these thumb screws, because you're going to need it. These vibrate off and they fall in your sawdust, and then they're gone. I usually find them when I'm blowing it out, or I don't find them at all. So I just bought a bag on Amazon. Behind, I was talking about how you can source everything out. Behind these ceramic blade guides, there's a roller bearing that sits behind the blade. I buy these PCN bearings. They're just cheap bearings. I think you get 4 of them for 10 or 12 bucks. And I replace those pretty often. Maybe once every 2-3 months I replace them. But I mill a lot, guys. You see me that how often I'm out here. Usually, in the summertime, several times a week. This mill now, I've got close to 50,000 board feet. I keep track of how many board feet. The first year I milled 20,000 board feet. And then last year was almost 30,000 board feet I milled. It's a lot of wood I milled. I know there's guys out there who'll say, I do that. I do 1,200 board feet a day. I don't do that. I'm only out here a couple times a week. 2-3 times a week. First get your mill, you'll be out here almost every day though. It's when you make your own lumber, it's pretty neat. So these are supply pieces you should have on hand, along with your belts. All right, that's inside the cabinet. Oh, I think Frontier, my friend Nick from Everyday With Me, Nick, I saw inside his mill. He's in the UK, and I talked to him about it. Frontier now has these little brushes that rub on these belts that keep them clean. It just keeps the sawdust from building up. Now, I don't have a problem with it usually, but I thought it was pretty clever. Do it. Just the tension on it with the wing nut. Can't believe I did that. All right, let's take a look at the carriage now. It's a 4-post carriage design. It's pretty sturdy. I've not had any problems with that. You should always leave. Somehow I missed that. You should always leave it in the down position, guys, when you're not using it in the relaxed position. I do anyhow. I take all the tension off the cables. The tracking, once you get your tracking set, you shouldn't ever have to do much with it. I'm not going to talk about my power feed because you're not going to get one of these when you buy a mill. All right, up, down. This is easy. Now, when you put this together, clockwise is up, counterclockwise is down. I've seen guys say, hey, it won't stay up. It's because they wrapped this the wrong way around the drum up there. And if I start going, it'll start going up, but it's going the wrong way, and I'm going to start messing up my cables in that. So clockwise is up, counterclockwise is down. What stops this thing from going up and down? They have an adjustment here. I'm going to loosen it. And what you want, you can see it's very loose now. In fact, that's too loose. What would happen? Yep, see that? It would start going down as you're going down the rail. So what will happen is, if this is too loose, it will go down too easy. Now, it does make it easy going up. I mean, it's not too bad, but the vibration will shake it down. So I keep it a little tighter. That's pretty good right there. And they also have a little oil hole. And all this is got a cable on it wrapped around it with a little friction. There we go. Don't over oil it, but you just need enough on it to keep it from messing up the barrel. All right. Same with the cables. I oil the cables up every time. You get your mill, you're going to have these little felt sweepers. I soak them in transmission fluid, and they go right here, one on each side. Ooh. So when I'm done, I drop those back in the transmission fluid. This is synthetic transmission fluid. I actually ended up finding a 5-gallon jug someone was getting rid of it. And they just sweep the tracks. They keep the dust and dirt off. But that wasn't adequate when I got the mill. I was still getting buildup on the wheels, and I know some of you have experienced that. So what I did, and that solved my problems, I took some oak and I made these little blocks, and they're the same size as the felt sweepers, and they rub on the rail, and it just keeps the rail a little cleaner. They have an emergency stop. Mine has not failed yet. Let's look at the scale. I really like the scale. You have a 9/8 scale, so that would be an 1 1/8. You have an 8/4 scale, that would be a 2-inch board. A 6/4 scale, that's a 1.5 inch. 4/4 scale is a 1-inch board. 3/4 scale, that's obviously a 3/4. And all these marks take into account the kerf, so that does really help. I hope you can see that. They also have these lifting points right there, so you can assemble it. When you buy your mill, a lot of the carriage is assembled. I believe the motor was on. I don't think I did anything putting the motor. I believe the motor was on it. The mill is lifted up and down by these cables. You have a pulley here, and you have it's attached to the carriage here, and you have adjustment. So you can see there's some thread down here, and you have a nut on the bottom of that thing. You can adjust this mill and adjust this mill back and forth this way. It's tough to adjust it this way. I see some guys have problems with that, but you can adjust it this way to just get your blade parallel to your bunks. All right, the motor is mounted. I believe when you get it, they have a hole right here, so it's easy to drain the oil. It'll run right out. I have the Briggs & Stratton XR Professional 420cc 13.5 horse motor. I've had no issues. I've not had any issues with the motor except for the throttle system. And what I did, I don't use the hand throttle anymore. I have this linear actuator mounted on a bracket right here that pushes the throttle. I didn't like the throttle system they had on it, and I kept slipping out and falling out. So that was I had a problem with that. And I had to put this little plastic stop on here, because if my throttle goes all the way to neutral or all the way back, it stalls the motor every time. Every time. Gas shut off and choke. Here's the gas shut off and choke. It doesn't come with an hour meter, guys. I put one on it. Now it says 2.8 hours. It used to say 10 hours. It was broken. It didn't work for a long time. Now maybe it's starting to work again. I wonder how it got reset. Obviously it don't work. They have these bushings, these, I don't know what they are. High density polyethylene, probably cross-linked high density polyethylene. I'm not 100% sure, but they've been holding up well. So, don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. They've been holding up well. I've not had any problems with them. My mill's still cut straight. I know some guys have problems with the mill being level this way, and I think Frontier makes some shims that go down in there. I didn't get the shims. I see some guys got them. I didn't get them. These little metal shims that go in there. I don't know why I didn't get them. I'll have to look. You know, I mentioned I thought I got everything, but maybe I didn't get everything. Maybe I never got the shims. But my mill cut straight, and this is pretty level here. I didn't show this on the other side, but there's one on each side, and this is how you adjust the tracking. It doesn't need much adjusting usually. Maybe a flat at a time. Maybe not much, usually not much more than that. Right here, this is a brake, guys. I don't use it. In fact, all I do is I hit my leg on it. But I use it now. I welded a piece on it for my power feed. But that comes back. I can't come back anymore because I have the limit switch on it, and this just drops in that. Well, I defeated that with this, so it's not even usable. So basically just to stop. But that limit switch stops my mill from coming all the way back. You won't, well, you may need this, you know, if you don't want kids pushing it, just lock it down. Things like that. This is your coolant tank, guys, and it does not come with a valve like this style. I'm still not sold on this style valve yet either. I can get it adjusted pretty good. So I'm just getting a drip. I like it right about, depends what I'm cutting. That's a good drip right there. But I have a hard time maintaining it. I think it's because I got crud in my tank. I use water and dish soap and Pine Sol in the summertime. In the wintertime, I use windshield wiper fluid, and I need to get this changed out. This was frozen this morning. I need to change this out. I should probably just let it run out, shouldn't I? I'll do that before I leave. But I'd like to see this addressed. Plastic valve doesn't do much. You turn the valve and the whole thing turns, and now then it starts leaking. I ordered the auto flow, never installed it. If any of you want it, hit me up. I'll give it to you at cheaper probably than the company will sell them for. I think if I was ever to make the reason I haven't used it is because I can get this pretty fine tuned, and this much water will last me a long time. So that's not a big problem for me. If I was going to do something, since I have this all electronic, you know, the auto feed or the auto lube works on the throttle cable that you're squeezing. Well, I'm not squeezing anything anymore, so I'd have to put a linear actuator, much like this one, in a block and have it just push against it. Don't put diesel in these tanks. I don't know if this tubing, this is like a silicone tubing. I don't know if this will hold up, but I know the Gates wheels won't hold up. I'm sorry, I know the Gates belts won't hold up. They'll break down. Tony from Tony's Tractors and Adventures put diesel and tried it, and it was just eating up his belts. You know, we don't know unless we try it. And that's the beauty of YouTube. You guys get to watch us make our mistakes first. I didn't get the electric start Briggs & Stratton, and you couldn't even put a starter on here anyhow. I probably have, well, you could, but you have to change out the flywheel, put another back plate on there, I believe is what you'd have to do. You know, I have a linear actuator on here for my throttle, guys. That's how I throttle my machine, guys. So, change the oil, do the air filter, you'll have no problems. All right, this operator platform. And I have to go back and talk about this T-handle too, guys. But this operator platform, I built this. This is, ooh, getting loose. I'm going to tighten that up. Oh, yeah. Yeah, just some screws in there and some half-hole straps and a piece of wood. And that's for the platform. That platform is just for this. All right. But this won't be on here when you get it. You'll have this, and it's comfortable to push. It's not hard to push. It pushes easy. So no problems with that. The throttle is adequate, but I had problems with the throttle cable. I don't even know why. I should probably take this right off. I don't even need it anymore. But I do use it sometimes to start it, and I'll use it to just when I'm warming up the engine, I'll be able to play with the throttle a little bit. But I always had a hard time getting the throttle, get it to idle and get it to full power. I couldn't get it to do both. I couldn't get full power. If I did get full power, I didn't get it idle down far enough, and I got it to idle down far enough, I didn't get it full power. So I did never like this anyhow. trailer tongue goes right in there, and they give you a trailer tongue. It's a 5-foot pipe that comes out. I hope you can see this. All right, this is the tensioning system on here. To tension this, they have a spring in here. You have to kind of be careful here. I see people now busting this plate right here. I believe this blows out. So what I do is I always back it out 6 turns from where I was. So now there's where I'm at, and I'm not even touching this washer yet. So I think I got one more. Now I'm touching it. No, actually now I am. Right now I'm touching it. So it's 5 from there, guys. So that would be, because I said 6, right? So there's my first one. I put a stripe on this handle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have one more to go. And everything's right. This washer for me, this big silver washer, is flush with this face. Now what happens, guys will keep tightening this because they're getting wavy cuts. The wavy cuts are happening because they're blades though, but they think it's because it's not tight enough. They'll tighten this more. Well, that spring has coils, and as those coils get together, eventually there's no more space between those coils, and they start putting pressure on this plate, and that's a lot of potential energy, and that thing will bust out and go fly and hit you in the chest. So that's how you do it. Now, keep in mind, this has to be horizontal because you will not be able to pull this out otherwise. This blade guide here, they had a Zerk fitting on it. So I went to N6. They went to push that back in. I went to grease it. All right. So you can see this is the blade guide, and what happens is this will get a little sticky. So I oil this up with that transmission fluid, but they have a Zerk fitting right here, guys. Well, when I hook my Zerk or my grease gun to it, I snap that grease fitting right off. It's just sitting in there right now, just plugging it up. So mine don't get greased anymore. It only gets transmission fluid squirted up there. Would I buy this mill again? You betcha I would. I'm very happy with this mill. You know, other than a few of the items I mentioned, I'm very happy with it. As I'm looking right here, I see something else I broke. When I bought this mill, it comes with these cabinet closures. They're just what are they? Little latches, fold over latches. Well, the one was undone and the other one I couldn't undo. I was like, what the heck's going on here? And I'm like, man, this thing's tight. It's jammed up. So I took a screwdriver, popped it off. Found out there's 2 little buttons. You just push these little light buttons and they, so I busted that one up. It still works, but it's kind of, I just need to replace it. That was on me. So let's fix the bunk issue. If we can fix that bunk issue, the powder coating and the log stops, and those can be a little bit more permanent. The mill is a solid mill. It stays level. You know, you like anything else, you have to adjust it. In fact, that one probably not doing much right now. And I eyeball it just about every single time I'm out here. Whether I put a string on it or shoot my eye down it or put a level on it. Am I missing anything? Guys, it's a solid mill. If you're looking for an entry-level mill, this is a nice mill. You can do a lot with it. My winter project, I don't know if it will happen or not, but I think it's going to happen. I started gathering up parts. I'm going to replace these cables with Acme threaded rod. I don't know if I'll use stainless or not. They're pretty expensive in stainless. Probably 3/4 inch rod, and it'll be just built just like my power feed, but with threaded rod going up and down, and I won't have this on. Now, it would be easy to put a gear, but I want to get rid of these pulleys. Those are not the pulleys, but the cables. Those are still more consumables to have. So that's what I'd like to do. What can you expect with this mill when you get it? You can expect this mill If you treat it well, keep it clean, well, I clean it every time I'm done with it, you can expect to get several years out of this mill. $5,500. I said I milled close to 50,000 board feet now. Well, lumber was over $1,000 a board foot here last year. In fact, I think it got up to $1,800 a thousand board feet. I said a board foot, but 1,000 board feet. So you see how it's paid for itself. You pay for it. You could in the first week mill enough lumber to pay for this mill. I mean, you'd be busting your butt. I can comfortably mill 700 to 1,000 board feet. Not count, 1,000 board feet is going to take me about 8 hours to mill, but I can mill about 600 to 700 board feet in a half a day. If everything's set up ready to go. So you can expect a good yield. Can you make money with it? I do. I make a little bit of money with it. I don't advertise this as a lumber mill for the public. But if a friend comes and asks me, or somebody, a friend of a friend, and that's how most of it's been coming, friend of a friend, they drop their logs off, a quick $4 or $5, oh, it's not quick, $400 or $500 goes a long ways. You got a handful of logs, you're gonna expect to make a little bit of money. I charge $55 an hour. Custom milling. I can go to the store. Yeah, you can, but you wanted custom milled boards. So yes, you can make some money on it. You can build things out of it. You can build your cabins out of it. You can do a lot with it. I'm extremely happy with this purchase, and it's a quality mill, guys. It's not a cheap, junky mill. There's parts on it that could be better. The log stops. I'm sorry, the log clamps too. I'm really disappointed in that log clamp I bought. I spent a lot of money. I don't know what it was, $60, $70 for that log clamp, and it came subpar to the one they sent me the first time. It's not anything that I'm going to call the company about and complain about, but man, that's not right. Those limit switches, if they're going to fail, and mine have failed, that's a liability source for them. I'm surprised they don't have a sticker on the vent that says do not remove fins. Wouldn't be a bad idea. They have stickers. They have those kind of stickers. So when you get this mill, you will be assembling it. Immerse yourself in the assembly project. You will learn a lot about your mill and be able to diagnose situations quickly. Now, when you get it, it'll come with this carriage, a lot of it assembled. What's not assembled, I don't believe these these pieces were on the bottom were attached, and I don't believe the top was attached. I believe it was just this frame, the motor, and this post here, these two posts. I believe you put everything else on. It would have been nice to have a crane, overhead crane or a tractor lift this. I didn't have my tractor with the bucket at that time. So me and my boy, and we lifted it and got it up here. Just two of us. It was tough, but we did it. So guys, if you're looking to get a mill, don't hesitate on this one. I mean, if you've done your research, if you've done your research like I did, you're going to be looking at Frontier, you're going to be looking at Woodland, you're going to be looking at Easy Boardwalk, the mill, the Harbor Freight mill. You're going to be looking at mills at that price range. Those are the ones you'll be looking at. There's a few others. Logasaw, I think, makes one. Those might be a little bit pricey. But those are all comparable mills to these, and get yourself a mill. I don't care if you get a Frontier, Woodland, any of those. If you have a wood lot and you like doing this kind of stuff, get yourself a mill. Here's something you're going to get with your mill. This is a constant pain in my side. Now, granted, I burn a lot of firewood, and I struggle keeping up with this thing. There's a lot of firewood here, but I burn these in my little deer blinds, all this stuff, chop them up into little pieces, and this all goes in my deer blinds, my little cabins, stuff like that. You've seen some of those, but you're always going to have that. So you have to know what you're going to do with this stuff. If you don't have a way to get rid of it, so be it. Another thing you're going to get a lot of you're gonna get a lot of sawdust. What are you gonna do with all that sawdust? Some people say to give it away to farmers. I bet, you know, that need it for bedding. I've not had anybody ask me for any sawdust. So what I do is I just pile it up and I'll mix it in my topsoils. All right, guys, it's closing time. I'm gonna wrap this video up. I thought I was coming out here to mill today. I even have a log on the forks right now. I'm gonna put it on here, but I don't have fuel. So I'm gonna have to run to town, get some fuel. Guys, if you're thinking about getting a Frontier, go ahead, get it. You'll be happy with it. Like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, guys, hit me up. I can help, you know, get this thing together for you. I can help you with parts. You know, what are the part numbers on some of the bearings and things like that. And, you know, I'm starting to get a lot of experience on this mill. I've enjoyed it. Guys, take care. Have a great day. We'll see ya. Come here, Abby. Come here. Yeah. We don't know what kind of dog Abby is. Never did find out, did we? This dog got into a porcupine last week. It's the second time. She had a mouth or a beak full of them. We got him out though. She didn't like it. Why do you keep doing that? We know where the porcupine is too. We like him though. We like watching him come out of the tree, but we just got to, when he comes out of the tree, we just got to make sure the dog isn't out. Right, Abby? She's about 8 years old, maybe a little over 8 now. The rescue dog. Holidays are coming, guys. Can you believe it? Feels like I just started milling this summer, and it's going to be December 1st. Should start getting our snow. Like I said, last week we had 24 inches of snow. This week it's all gone. Yeah. Going hunting with my daughter today. That fancy deer blind I built, I'm going to sit with her tonight. She lives about 15 miles from here. And she's got it all set up and she asked me to come, so you betcha. When you can hunt with a family member and sit in the deer blind. She's a pretty accomplished hunter. She's gotten some pretty big deer in her life. Actually, her biggest deer is bigger than my biggest deer. I love watching other people get them. So, you get the. I got a popple right there, and I'm going to put that on the mill. All right, guys, take care. I got to go.